And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25. I'm Dean Beckman, joined by Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau, and we'll review all of the previous week's activities in Cardinals athletics. But Donny, during the interview portion of our show today, will feature women's basketball, and we're honored to have the two leading scorers on the women's basketball team, Jess Miller and Cherie Kulig, will join us.
Yeah, it kind of makes you feel old when you bring on seniors like this, because I do remember when those two came on the scene 4 years ago as freshmen, and it's going to be nice to have them on and maybe talk a little bit about that, what it's like to kind of think about this last season and the fact that, you know, those 4 years just fly by. And I know one of the impressive things with Jess, two things actually, one being a 1,000-point scorer, and two, she started every single game since she came on as a freshman. So it's been quite a ride for those two, and I know that their third senior compatriot is here as well. So it'll be nice to have those two on and to talk a little bit about women's basketball. It's been a great season so far for them, and hopefully we can continue to talk about a playoff push here as the season winds down.
I also like having athletes on the show when their coaches aren't sitting right next to them. It frees them up a little bit. So we'll talk to Jess and Cherie a little bit later on in the program. We'll also give you a reminder about the St. Mary's Ski Classic, which is coming up this weekend. That's all later here on the program. But first, Donny, we'll recap the previous week in St. Mary's athletics, and we'll begin with women's hockey, because coming up this weekend, a very important series against St. Thomas, because right now St. Thomas just a couple of points ahead of St. Mary's in the women's conference standings, so a very important series coming up. Last weekend, the Cardinals took on Bethel, and finally on Saturday, Donny, were able to end a 4-game losing skid.
Yeah, very important for them was to get that win on Saturday, because you know, they had lost 4 in a row, and obviously when you start getting into the conference season, you know, and the losses become that much more important, and for them to come back with a 2-1 win after losing 3-0 the first night is very important, because you know, I talked to Coach Manor after that Friday night game, and he was not very happy with the way they played. He said it was probably the first game all season that they were completely outworked. So it was good for them to come back and play very well on Saturday at home and get that 2-1 win. The concern still has to be is their scoring. You know, they scored 2 goals in that win, but you know, the 4 games prior to that, during that skid, they had scored 3 goals combined. So they really need to pick up the pace in terms of offense against St. Thomas this weekend. That's going to be very important. St. Thomas is a very good team, 6-1-1 in the conference. So for them, you know, for St. Mary's to compete with them, they're going to have to put the puck in the net. St. Mary's has got 2 very solid goaltenders in Kay Collier and Sarah Gustafson. So defensively, they're playing very well. Right now, what they need to do is get that offense cranked up a little bit.
Yeah, you know, this is the first time in a while that St. Mary's has been in a battle this close for second place. So, you know, they're usually right there for 4th place, but now we're talking second. So they've taken a step up this year. Now we'll see if they can get over that hurdle against St. Thomas. You know, the women's hockey team played so well in the Codfish Bowl tournament right at the start of the year. Even though they lost those 2 games, they played well, but then they came back and did not play well against St. Olaf. Then that seemed to carry over into the next couple of weeks, and hopefully now this last win against Bethel sort of snapped them out of that funk that they were in.
Absolutely, no question about it. And I think that anytime you get a win, and one of the questions we certainly can ask Jess and Cherie, anytime you get a win, you get some momentum. You build some momentum, you build some confidence, and I think that's hopefully what that win on Saturday will do is give them back that confidence, that swagger that they had before the Christmas break when they were 3-0-3 in the conference play. And I think one of the things that's very deceiving when you talk about, you know, they had that losing skid of 4 games, but in reality, only one of those games was a conference game. So, you know, really, it didn't hurt them so much as they make their playoff push. You know, like you said, they're right now sitting 2 points out of second place. They're sitting in a good position in terms of playoff positioning. Right now, they just got to keep things going. A big weekend this weekend, but it's only 2 games of, you know, basically a run of a month here that they've got to go yet in the season.
Donny, in men's hockey, there have been some games I know the guys would like to have back. They let some slip through, some big leads that they lost late. Fortunately, they were down big on Saturday, came back and ended up in a tie, 4-4 tie.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just talking to Coach Moore before we left for the studio, and he's still talking about the 2 games prior to that 4-4 tie. That was 4 points that they really let slip away. Both times leading the game 3-1, only to lose 4-3. And you know, you put yourself in position to win games. You need to finish the deal. And right now, that's been their struggle. They go into that third period up with a 2-goal lead. You need to be able to finish that off. It's a final 20 minutes that have been haunting them a little bit until Saturday. And Saturday they come up with a couple of goals to tie it, and then Kevin Wentland scores with 30 seconds to go to earn them a 4-4 tie. So they did get a point from Bethel, but as Coach Moore had said, they let the first game on Friday slip away, and they let the game against St. Olaf slip away when they were up 3-1 in that one as well. So they need to be able to seal the deal, and right now they're still in that playoff hunt, and it's nice to be talking at this stage of the year with a month to go about possible playoff positions, but it would be nice if they were at 11 points rather than 7. 11 points, they'd be right in the thick of things right now, and instead, they're sitting 3 points behind Bethel and St. Thomas. St. Thomas, they play this weekend, so like the women, this is a big weekend for them in that you pick up 4 points against St. Thomas. Now you're at 11 points, and everything is all jumbled up. So. This is a big weekend, but as you look at the standings there, we still have games against Gustavus and St. Thomas above them, and Augsburg and St. John's below them. So there's still a lot of hockey to be played, and hopefully they can pick up at least a split this weekend, if not a sweep. I think that St. Mary's has proven that any team is beatable, and hopefully they go into this weekend believing that they can take 4 points from St. Thomas, and there's no question they have the talent to do it. They get a lead, they need to be able to hang on to it.
Donny, any surprise at all? You followed MIAC hockey for a long time. Any surprise that St. Thomas is kind of back toward the middle of the pack? Usually they're right up there battling for first.
Yeah, no question. For them to be at 10-9 right now is a bit of a surprise. 5-5 in the conference. But I think what it does do is, I don't think that St. Thomas is any weaker than they have been in the past. I think the reality is that the conference is so deep and so talented. St. John's beat Gustavus last weekend, and right now Gustavus is in second place in the conference. St. John's is in second to last. And so I think what it says is that the conference is just so deep, the talent pool is so deep that at St. Thomas at 5-5 doesn't necessarily mean that St. Thomas isn't very good. It just means that everybody else in the conference is as good or better than they have been in the past.
All right, let's switch now to basketball. We'll begin with men's basketball, Donny. Heading into Wednesday's game, we taped this on Wednesday, so we don't know those results yet. The men's team, they're still struggling. We talked about sometimes a win is all you need to get you over that hump. Right now, they need a win badly. Head coach Todd Landrum has talked about that. They need to pick up a win. Thought they might get one against Gustavus, a very good Gustavus team last Saturday. Unfortunately, just came up a little bit short as Gustavus went on some late runs to kind of seal that win.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Landrum yesterday morning, and he's happy with the way they're playing right now. And you're right. Right now, it just seems like they need the ball to bounce their way. They need a couple of shots to drop, and you talk about momentum. I mean, momentum can be built in 2 shots, and unfortunately in the Gustavus game, that's a perfect example, is they needed a couple of big buckets late in that game, and they just weren't able to get those to fall. And that's the difference in a game like that. They're playing these teams very tight, and they're playing them very close. It's just that when it comes to crunch time, they're not able to get that ball to fall. Interesting conversation I had with Coach Landrum yesterday. One of the things that you don't really realize is they're pretty banged up right now. Lucas Holland is having foot problems. Chris Palmer's having knee problems. Michael Burfine's having problems with his ribs. He got hurt last Monday against St. John's. So they're pretty banged up right now. And unfortunately, this time of year, there's no time to rest players. They play Wednesday, they play Saturday, they play Monday, they play Wednesday, they play Saturday. So it's a busy week and not a lot of time for them to rest. So, along with not being able to maybe get those shots when they need to try and get out of this funk, they're pretty banged up as well.
Yeah. The good thing is, as we look at the schedule, coming up Saturday, they play McAllister. They've beaten McAllister earlier this year. Monday, they're at Concordia. That's a team that they've already beaten. And then next Wednesday, home to St. Thomas. Now, they did lose to St. Thomas, but they're coming up with a string of games. Maybe they could put together a little winning streak here.
I know that's what Coach Landrum is hoping for, and you're right. What they need right now is they need a confidence booster. They need a game where they can come out and come away with a win, and hopefully you're right. Hopefully that's that's where they're at. And it's interesting. You look at the standings; they're at 3-8. But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised when we talk in another week or so that we're talking about St. Mary's right back up there in that playoff mix again. It's a topsy-turvy kind of league, and like you said, you got McAllister on Saturday, a team that we've beaten. You got Concordia on Monday, a team that we've beaten. The hard part about the Concordia game, and I'm sure Jess and Cherie can certainly attest to, is it's tough to go to Concordia and play. It's a long trip, and it's tough to do, and hopefully hopefully they'll be able to, hopefully when we tape again on Wednesday, we'll be talking about a 2 or 3 game winning streak.
Yeah, so let's talk quick about women's basketball, and we'll come to it later during the interview segment. But women's basketball, they played Gustavus, lost to the Gusties as well, but we'll have the women's game on HBC Channel 25, just like we'll have the men's game live this upcoming Saturday. The women's game starts at 1 against McAllister.
Yeah, it should be the women are playing well right now. They're playing very well, and I think that, an unfortunate loss against Gustavus, and kind of like the men's game, it was one of those that they just couldn't quite get over the hump and get back into the game. It was a lot closer than the final score dictated, especially with the fact that St. Mary's was forced to foul down the stretch. But they're playing very well. They're playing good, solid basketball, and I think that just like the men, you're coming up to a stretch of games that they play McAllister on Saturday, a team that they've played beat pretty handily the first time. And then you've got Concordia, a very good team, and so it's an exciting time for the women. They're right in the hunt. They're in 6th place in the conference, right in the mix with Bethel there for a playoff spot. And with just over a month of the season left, it's a good time to be talking women's basketball because they're playing very well, and they're putting themselves in the position that you hope that with the last 3 games or 4 games of the season that they're controlling their own destiny and able to be battling for a playoff spot.
And there we see the schedule, the 6-6 overall conference record, and 8-7 overall. So really, it should be a great game versus McAllister this upcoming Saturday here on HBC. And there we see a tie for 5th place in the conference standings with Bethel. Donny, let's go to swimming and diving now. The Cardinals last weekend had a duel against Carleton. The Knights, one of the better swimming and diving programs, not only in the conference, maybe in the country for Division III. And so it was a loss, but some excellent individual finishes, especially for Mark Ross and Anna Smarin.
Yeah, Mark Ross is a name we've said a lot about being a very solid performer. He had a great freshman year last year, and it was good to see him really perform well with a couple of 2nd place finishes against Carleton. Andrew Noyes as well had a couple of 2nd place finishes in the diving competition, and Anna Smarin did very well getting that 1st place finish. So it was, I know, talking to Coach Lindquist, he was extremely happy with the performances of all his swimmers. They have an interesting alumni open this weekend, kind of a way to send off their seniors. They were supposed to compete against UW River Falls this Saturday, but the Falcons had to pull out because of scheduling conflicts. So Coach Lindquist is throwing together an alumni open, getting some alumni back to compete, and kind of just a nice way to send off their seniors because it will be the final home meet of the season for them. So that'll be good to see for them, and hopefully it'll be a chance for the team to maybe relax a little bit because they've been training very hard and get ready for in 2 weeks to get the Minnesota Challenge and then the conference championship. So the season's winding down for them, and hopefully they're ready to go as they get ready for that grueling 3-day conference championship.
And finally, in track and field, the teams were at the St. Thomas Open, and Donnie, it was the John Kelly and Peter Borash show as they had outstanding days.
Yeah, John had a great day, and it was good to see him start his senior season the way he did. And Peter Borash, what an outstanding performance in the mile to be, basically the 2nd fastest time performed in the mile, which is outstanding for Peter, and you're happy to see that. And they had a lot of very solid performances, and I don't think we can go through a show without saying Andrew Brugen's name. He won the weight throw, really going away, coming off of such an outstanding performance at the Minnesota Challenge, and then to win the weight throw at St. Thomas was great to see. And I think, like I said, I don't think we'll be able to go through a show without talking about him and this outstanding season he's got. But again, there were just a lot of solid performances, and hopefully that'll continue as the season progresses here. They go to Stout this weekend, a big meet up there, and really kind of the whole kickoff where everybody's going to be there. And I think that Coach McMahon's looking for some pretty big things up there.
And then when will the track and field teams make that transition from the indoor season to the outdoor season?
Well, once they finish in early March with the conference championships, then they'll probably take a week or 2 off, and then boom, they're back at it. So it's really, as I know when we had Sean McMahon on, he kind of talked about it's really just one long season. You just stop competing indoors and you start moving your competitions outdoors. So it's in the mid-March to late March they'll get in to start competing in the outdoor competition as well.
All right, that's going to do it for this segment. Stay tuned, though, to the Cardinals Nest here on HBC. Coming up, we'll talk more women's basketball with seniors and leading scorers Jess Miller and Cherie Kulig. That's next here on Channel 25.
HD Net Sunday Concerts brings the biggest events in music right to your living room.
The Rolling Stones. Jack Johnson.
Sometimes time doesn't heal.
Paul McCartney.
HD Net Sunday Concerts. Live life loud.
Wouldn't it be nice if there was a mobile phone company where you could actually get great customer service? Well, the wait is over. Full mobile phone service is now available at HBC. With plans starting as low as $40 a month on the nation's largest coverage map, HBC Mobile has a plan for everyone. Individual, family, data, they're all available. And they all come with the personal customer service you've come to expect from HBC. Stop in today at 58 Johnson Street, Winona to see how you can get a free phone. HBC Mobile. Service you can trust.
And welcome back to the Cardinals Nest here on HBC. Dean Beckman along with Donny Nadeau. And we welcome Jess Miller, Cherie Kulig from the women's basketball program. Donny, I feel like we don't even need introductions to Jess and Cherie. Even though they haven't been on the show before, we have talked about them every single week during the winter season, probably for the last several years.
And that's really a testament to the outstanding seasons that they have had. And you two both look very nervous. You don't need to be nervous. Usually what we do to start off our interview segment is just tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, when you started playing basketball, how you decided on St. Mary's, and what your major is at St. Mary's.
I started off when I was probably in first grade. I don't know, I was in a couple of camps that my dad put me in, and I just fell in love with it, and started doing AAU and all that when I was in like 6th or 7th grade. So I've always been a year-round basketball player, and just couldn't get enough of it. I guess when the college search started, I was looking at private schools, so St. Thomas and St. Mary's, Hamlin, all those, and St. Mary's just gave me, I guess, the most for what we were looking for, and I got the best scholarships, and I guess like playing opportunities like looked really bright, and I wanted to play, so I guess that's why I'm here. So.
How about you, Cherie?
I started a little bit later. I first got on a team when I was in 5th grade. I started playing tournaments and then just kind of continued through high school with that. I never did AAU like many other people did. And then going off to college, I was one of those kids that was clueless on what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. So I started looking at St. Mary's and then UW lacrosse. And my decision pretty much came down to whether or not I was going to play basketball. And I decided that I couldn't give it up that quickly, so I came to Mary's, and it's been a great choice to keep playing.
I think Coach Pearson's pretty happy you didn't quit playing basketball, too. You're from Independence, Wisconsin,
Yes.
which is pretty close by. Is that a nice thing for you and for your family in that you're a little close to home? Because I know that Carver, Minnesota isn't exactly near St. Mary's. So is it nice to be close to home?
It is nice to be close to home, especially for in-season games and everything else. My parents can easily make it to all the home ones, and even to all the games at cities. Independence is pretty located in the middle. It's only about a 2-hour drive, 2.5-hour drive, so it's always nice over breaks when we have to be around here. I can easily hop home for a day since it's only an hour. So.
Now, you know, you both started when you were very young, of course, playing basketball. Cherie, you seem to me to be an absolute natural ball handler. Jess, you're kind of a natural scorer, averaging about 13 points a game. Did it always come that naturally, both aspects?
I guess for me, it wasn't that way at all. Like in high school and stuff, I played with somebody who is going D1 now, and so she was definitely like the highlight, and I don't know, I was more of like a defensive and more like energy, and I would have like games now and then where I would score like a lot, but not so much all the time. So I guess it's just being more comfortable with like looking to score and stuff. And I don't know, coaches that I've had before have said that I like pass too much, or so it's just been more of like focusing on like actually looking for that shot. And I don't know.
Okay, no, that's great. And Cherie, how about you?
I grew up as a point guard. I was very small as a child, so I had to learn to handle the ball, or I wouldn't have gotten it anywhere. And then all the way through, I've kind of been relied on as a point guard, so that's given me a lot of experience that way. So
You two came in and basically since day one have been in the lineup. And I did mention, Jess, it's pretty incredible that you've started every single game since you were a freshman here. But how have your roles changed from when you were freshman here to now, despite the fact that you were in the lineup all the time? Do you see yourselves in a different role now than you did when you were a freshman, Jess?
Yeah, I guess as freshmen, you kind of, I don't know, me and Cherie have talked before, as you get older, the expectations get higher and higher, and your coach gets a little bit harder on you. So obviously as freshmen, you could get away with a little bit more, and whereas now, we're expected to be those leaders, to be, I don't know, role models. So it is different, but it's nice to be able to be, I guess, held to a high standard in her eyes. And I don't know, I think it's easy when we have like the three of us who obviously like get along really well, and we all are on the same page. So
Cherie, any?
Like Jess said, as freshmen coming in, you were pretty much a follower, learning from the people that went before you, and then every year you've just become a little bit more and more responsible for holding the team together and getting everybody to rally.
Now talk a little bit about this senior year, because like I had mentioned before, this is it. It's hard to believe how fast it's gone. But have you had time to kind of think about that this is your final season, that the games are starting to wind down?
I don't know. It's kind of it's kind of crazy. I guess I haven't sat and thought about it that way, but it is winding down. There's only about a month left, a little more than a month. But I guess I'm just like thankful that we've had all the playing time that we have and had all the success. Especially this year has been really fun, like actually being in most of all the games. So that's been really awesome for our senior year.
Jess, too, you've had a little time now to reflect on scoring over 1,000 points. Just talk about that and what that means to you.
I don't know what it means. I guess I never scored 1,000 points in high school. Like I said, I wasn't really much of a scorer, so I guess I just looked back to when I was a freshman and I got all those minutes, and sophomore year and every year, obviously. But it's just been a reflection of, I guess, like how fortunate I've been to be able to play as much as I have.
Well,
so.
And Cherie, it had to be nice for you to see Jess get to that accomplishment, because you probably have a lot of those assists.
Yeah, exactly.
It was great to see Jess finally reach 1,000 point. She's worked hard for 4 years and deserves it. The whole team was super excited for her. And
Talk about how gratifying this season has been. We don't want to, it's far from over, but you guys are playing outstanding basketball. You're 8-8 on the season, which is fantastic for this program, which in the past had struggled. Talk a little bit about your feelings toward how you feel you guys are at right now, and is it a gratifying to be moving in that right direction?
it's great to finally put together a little bit better of a season. And we've put in so many hours since freshman year working hard. And for our first 3 years, we never really got to see the results from that. So I guess for me, leaving as a senior, it's good to see putting a few more wins up on the board.
Yeah, I guess it's just nice to see all that hard work paying off, and not like it didn't the first 3 years, but it's just more, easy to see when you're 8-8 and you're actually, almost in the runs for playoffs. So that's pretty exciting.
Cherie, you seem to have so much fun when you're on the court. You're always smiling. Every time I look, you're smiling. Is that just your natural reaction to the game, or is it a way to try and lift up your teammates?
I think the most of it is I just love being out there playing everything else. And then it is, especially at the beginning, talking to some people, if you can get them to relax a little bit, smile, because we do have a few people on our team that get a little bit nervous before, and everything takes a little while for them to settle into it. So I guess it's more so just my personality shining through on the court.
Yeah, that's great. And Jess, you have a sort of an interesting recruitment story. You did talk about how you were looking at some other schools, and
Yeah.
Mandy Pearson, your current head coach here at St. Mary's, was actually an assistant at Hamlin.
Yeah.
So talk about how all that went down.
Well, I was more interested in Hamlin, to be honest, and I'd visited there more than I'd visited here, and I had an overnight and everything. And Coach Pearson was the assistant at that time, and so I talked to her a little bit, not as much as the head coach, but and then I decided to visit here at St. Mary's, and I ended up loving it. I had an overnight here, ended up loving it, and I committed. And then I guess like 2 days after I decided to come here, I get a call from Mandy Pearson. I was like, oh shoot, I don't want to tell her. And then she's like, I'm your head coach at St. Mary's, and I was like, oh my gosh. So it was exciting going into the program and knowing her, and I guess I had kind of a relationship before, but it was kind of funny. So.
Well, you know, we're out of time for this segment, but we're glad you could join us, and really best of luck the rest of the season, and you know, hopefully we'll get to talk some more about the playoffs.
Thanks.
All right, Jess Miller, Cherie Kulig from the women's basketball team here on the Cardinals Nest. Stay tuned. Donny and I will be back to wrap things up right after this on HBC.
Experience HD Net.
Television is no place to hide.
Your home for MMA.
We've just slain the fight of the year.
Uncompromising Emmy Award-winning news.
We're told that if we got out of the car, that the police would stop us from filming.
The world's greatest concerts every Sunday. And Guys Night In.
I recommend this party.
Best time of my life.
Brace yourself.
Good one.
Showtime is taking you over the edge. With shows to shake you up, movies to rock your soul, and heart-pounding sports, all in HD.
Now is the time.
It's time. Get Showtime.
How could I not get it?
And welcome back here to the Cardinals Nest. Some other events now coming up at St. Mary's University, and it's going to be the 10K Classic. Of course, we had Chris Kendall and Gary Borash on the show last week previewing this. The kids race is going to start at the gazebo at 11 a.m. About 100 kids are expected to participate from the Minnesota Youth Ski League, and others are welcome as well. The event is open to the public. On-site registration begins at 8 a.m. for the classic ski and 11 a.m. for the skate race. The Page Series is featuring Ensemble Galilei with Neil Conan in Universe of Dreams. That'll be on Thursday, February 3rd. You see ticket information there. You can contact the Page Theater. And also, The Eye Behind the Eye, the art of William Barry, is on display at the St. Mary's Lillian Davis Hogan Gallery now through February 20th. And so we encourage you to take part in as many of those activities as you can. For Donny Nadeau, I'm Dean Beckman. Thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25. Tune in again next week.